Wuthering Waves finally released their version 3.4, which is consist of a collab character, and it was considered one of those like a hype or anticipated version after the second anniversary of the Wuthering Waves in the Wuthering Waves community. The reason is since the first anniversary live stream, Wuthering Waves announced that they are going to have a collaboration with the enemy IP, which is a Cyberpunk Edge Runner of an actual game. When they just announced it, people are assuming that this kind of collab are not going to be happen for the first anniversary. This will happen in the second anniversary. But when the second anniversary live stream was done, they did not even confirm any of those like a date or any of those like a single of a clue that when they are going to release the Cyberpunk collab. So people were kind of like disappointed, but after in the midst of a running of a second anniversary, they just announced out of nowhere that this kind of collab character are going to be happen after the second anniversary. So the people who already pulled like a Hyuki and also Denia, which was most hype character from the second anniversary, they were kind of like squeezed out of pool, and they don't even have enough pools to pull for the upcoming collab character. Collab character are not meant to be one of those like a broken character, but some of the games does have the collab character are kind of like outshine their original characters. But in Wuthering Waves and also their predecessor game, which is the PGR, they do have the collab character who just totally destroy their original characters, such as if I give you an example, PGR's Nier Automata, they do have a A2 who is actually going to be busted if you just somehow able to give her a certain amount of constellation. But when it comes to Wuthering Waves, it is tend to be seen that where this character are going to be a meta, or you can say where this character are going to be placed into this current meta. Are they going to be broken? Are they going to be totally dog shit? Now these kind of things are kind of like upset the player base. If they certainly know that this kind of collab are going to be happen after the second anniversary, I guess they would not even just totally spend the pool on the second anniversary. But as you already know, the second anniversary and also anniversary character as a general are considered as one of those like a top tier character who they are going to be somewhat going to be sustained another 1 or 1.5 years. If I just give you an closest example, Zani, even to this day, after a year old character, she's still top tier no matter whatever content that you are going to use her. So just for the Hyuki, which is also a second anniversary character, she's actually top tier DPS and her damage is going to be rivalry or even better than our recent sentinel character, which is the Amath. And also when it comes to Denia is kind of like a restricted playstyle. She's placed as a sub DPS and also somewhat have a support capability who can even have the 2 team option in the on release of her, which is going to be the twin instant and also another fusion burst damage team, which is going to be consist of a Amath. Now this is kind of like a lucrative banner and also lucrative character, and also they do have the branding with alongside with some of the most lucrative Iran characters, especially the Chisa and also the Luna and also another like a Frolova, who are considered as one of those like a top tier character who already proved that they are not even some kind of like a dog shit characters. So from this kind of like a point of view, I guess I totally agree with them. And also the thing is that I already make a video that what kind of characters they are going to be announced, which is going to be the Lucy and also the Rebecca. Rebecca is going to be the free. Lucy is the limited character that you have to pull for it, but they are totally following the fate of the HSR route, where your normal limited banner are not going to be shared with the actual of a collab banner, which is actually created a very much of a controversy between the community because they want something new from their rival game, which is the HSR and any of those like a Hover's games. So if the any of those like a Hover's games are also going to be same thing of the Wuthering Waves community are not going to be happy with it. Anyway, I just totally have some of the like a dog shit things, but in this video I'm going to talk about that where this kind of like a new character, which is a Lucy and also Rebecca, are going to be placed into this current meta tier list, because this meta are totally revolved, or this meta are totally consist of a one of those like a big celestial or big juggernaut characters such as the Hyuki, Amath and also the Lucarsin and also other some of the like Agosta, who already kind of like an old character but still to this day top tier characters as it is. Now these kind of things are need to be seen that where these two Lucy and also Rebecca are going to be placed. Are they going to be dog shit, or are they have some kind of value to your pools? And especially you have to choose it, because this kind of collab character banner, if you just somehow able to spend all of your asteroids or all of your pools on these types of banner, I guess of your next character, if you do have a Hyuki, the next character Glacial character to sub DPS, which is going to be the best answer for your Hyuki, then I guess your Hyuki team are going to be empty without that character. So if you really want to invest on your Hyuki, I guess it would be best choice for you to somewhat like a pending this decision that should you even pull for that collab character or not. But if you do have money, I guess who am I to give you the suggestion? Anyway, so let's move on to the tier list section, where I'm going to see that where this kind of character are going to be placed, and especially the site I'm going to currently using, which is a python.gg. As my other previous video, when it comes to the tier list, I always choose this site. This site is kind of like a very big site and also popular site when it comes to make this kind of tier list for a certain game. They are not only make the tier list for the Wuthering West, they also make the other games tier list alongside with the 13 Hoyoverse games. Not actually Hoyoverse games, those 13 games also include some of the Hoyoverse games, especially HSR and also Zenitsu Zero. Anyway, I just have too much. The thing is that in here about the tier list and the criteria, roles, tags, these kind of things I'm not going to touch of it. If I somehow touch it, I guess the whole video point will be ruined. Okay, the thing is that Wuthering West always provide you two types of endgame mode. First one is going to the Tower of Adversity, which is consist of a single target and also kind of like a multi-wave target. And when the Whimpering West is totally going to be fully focused on the AoE targets. If you do have AoE based character, especially the Jian and also some of the like Camellia who can even have a special AoE characters, then I guess this type of Whimpering West are going to be gated towards those characters who have this kind of ability to do that. Or you can say the Grout CC's characters. And this website does have kind of like a good specialty. If you just somehow move your cursor to a certain character's icon, you might be even know without just going to their endgame modes individually to see that where that's totally placed into that endgame mode. So without further ado, let's start. Besides, they are kind of like a divided by three types of things. First one is going to be the Apex tier. Apex tier character, one of those tier characters who are not even relate to the meta. They are the meta creator or meta always revolve around them. And another tier character going to be C, which is the meta tier character who are actually considered as kind of like a meta reliant. If the meta are going to be or any of those like a weakness of the certain meta character are going to be relevant to the certain endgame mode, I guess they are going to perform very good. And other than that, if the weakness and also any of those like a buff are not even gated toward their key, I guess they are going to be benched all the time. Okay, let's see where our Lucy, which is a collab character, limited character, she's a very much of a highly good character. Let's see where she's totally placed into this or initial phase of this tier list. As you can see that she is not even a tier 0. Damn, I guess this is the first time that we are seeing a character who is not even very hyped and still or not even placed in a tier 0 tier list at the first of our initial release. Okay, where she belongs? Yeah, she belongs in a tier 0.5. And as you can see that in a Whimpering West, she is also positioned as a tier 1.5. Damn, I am just shocked as you are right now why this actually happened here. Because when I just somehow read her kit and also make a separate video that what kind of benefit that you are going to have her if you just somehow try to pull for her, is that she's not even a DPS. She is going to give you some of the like a good debuff, good buff, and also somewhat like a basic attack damage amplification, which it could be helpful for your another character, which is a Camellia and also the Luke Hudson. As you can see that this guy, damn man, I guess the position they are already placed on her in a Whimpering West. I guess this is kind of like a watch list. Watch list in this tier list means that they need to be tested much more to see that where they actually value to this whole current endgame mode. So I guess after like a 7 or 8 days later or 10 days later, I guess this kind of tier list would be changed. But right now, as her initial position, damn man, it is actually not even looking that much of a good one. She is a collab character. She at least has to be in a both endgame mode with a tier 0.5, not tier 0.5 and also tier 1.5. Damn. And other characters, as you can see that all they are totally remained to their original position as before. I'm not seeing any of those like a changes. Okay, and our free character, which is a Rebecca, she is also placed as a tier 1, and for her like initial phase of a Tower of Adversity, which is a tier 1, and also Whimpering West also going to be the tier 1.5. She's actually kind of like a dedicated partner for the Lucy, what she's going to be give you the heavy attack damage bonus, just like what the Lucy really needs to deal the most of the amount of damage, because her whole damage is going to be based on her how much of a heavy attack she can even have on her like all over status. Damn, I'm just totally disappointed that seeing that how much she's actually not even that of a good one on her initial phase. But the testing they are already placed on these characters are going to be beta and also the private server, and those kind of things are not even done of a huge amount of player base. Those kind of things are done in a some kind of like a short amount of player base. So when there are most of the player are going to be create so many kind of like a team comp, so many kind of like a optimal playstyle, I guess this tier list might be changed in that time. But after that we have to wait for that moment. And the other character always remain to the original position. I'm not seeing any of this like a changes. So let's move on to the Lucy's review. So in this website they are always provided kind of like a review section where they are just really provided or divided by two segments, which is going to be the pros and cons. Pros means if you just somehow have this character, what kind of advantage are going to be, and also if you do have some kind of like a doubt that what kind of disadvantages of having that character on your team or on your account, these kind of things are going to be provided in here. Let's see. But one thing is for sure, the pros are going to be 2 points and cons is going to be 5 points. Damn, I guess this character is not even a worth to pull for your astride. Oh man, let's see what kind of pros they are already provided here. First one is going to be the accessible, has a free best in slot buffer and can use multiple generally supports to great effect. As I already mentioned in my other like a segment videos of that should you even pull for this character, I already mentioned she's not even going to be give you a good amount of buffs. She could give you a 30% damage amplification and also 5% damage reduced from the towards the enemy, kind of like a defense rate 5%, and also give you a good amount of like a 25% damage amplification for the basic attack. If you do have any of this like a basic attack, that basic attack heavy character are going to be very much of a highly rewarded by having her on that team. All of them not needing signature weapon to perform near maximum level. Oh man, not having her signature weapon to really not even require to her maximum buff towards your character is actually very much of a big W for a limited collab character where the banner pit are not going to be shared to your normal limited banner. Okay, next one is going to be the high sequence value. S1 increase her whimpering waste potential substantially, and also the plus S2 and S3 can increase her longevity across all game modes by a lot. So I guess, is this considered as a pros? Shouldn't they just totally move that point into a cons? Because having her S1, which is actually highly needed for her to perform well in a whimpering waste, as I already mentioned in my other video that she's actually going to be very good for the whimpering waste, just because of she can even have a crowd CC's control, which is the main thing that you have to have a certain characters to perform well in a whimpering waste. Okay, because whimpering waste is very much of a gated towards your AoE characters. If you don't even have a perfectly built for any of those like AoE characters, you cannot even get the perfect score. You might not even lose few of the astrites. But having this kind of like a sequence 1 or sequence 2 and other things, damn man, it is actually very tube reliant, I guess, in my opinion. So let's move on to the cons. The first point is going to be that has a lower damage ceiling than every modern release before her, about equivalent to a late 2x point character. It is actually running a 3.0 version, which is a Lahari version, and they are talking about 2.x character who are considered kind of like a Zanis and also Carlota, all the other characters, and she is equivalent to those level. Man, I guess that's the reason they just put her into a tier 0.5. Let's move on to the next point, which is going to the PT signature weapon dependent to perform a standard modern level. Oh my god, I guess this is not even a new thing for a Wuthering Waves, because as you already know that this game will provide you a guaranteed weapon system. So if you don't even have that guaranteed weapon system, I guess your character is going to be dog shit, just like the PGRs first generation characters was so good that they could even just do well with their 4-star or any of this like a 5-star version, which you can even just totally get from the shop and also by farming of a co-op mode. But when it comes to the Wuthering Waves, they were kind of like good when the first generation or first year of a character was released, but after the second year of a, or you can say the first year of a middle of year character releasing, then that time the game was so much catered towards your signature weapon, just because of the weapon or signature you have to pull for them, which is kind of like indirectly forceful to it. And also when it comes to the alternate signature weapon, they are not even the best in slot, because the signature weapon are kind of like a completing the character of a whole kit, which should be there on their base kit at before. Okay, let's move on to our next point, which is going to be the second inherent skill, which can be boost her damage by a lot, will almost never activate aside from a very specific condition, very early matrix round, and also tower 2 or 4. Sorry to say that I just totally cannot even understand the point what they are trying to say here. If you just somehow understand it, you can even totally let me know into the comment section. Let's move on to our next one, which is going to be the hack mechanism is exclusive to the collab characters and is a variation of a tune rapture, unable to benefit from a standard tune rapture temporary buffs in endgame content, impacting long-term use in such scenarios. Oh my god, so that means the hack mechanisms that they are totally providing for this kind of collab character, it only going to be applicable if you do have another kind of like a collab character on your team. Especially currently right now we do have a 2 collab character from the same mechanics, which is going to be the Rebecca and also the Lucy. So if you are just somehow applying kind of like a hack mechanism, which is going to provide like a debuff, attack radius from the enemies, and also kind of like a defense reduction, all the other debuff mechanisms, those kind of things are going to be proc if any of those like another collab character going to be in that team. Damn man, it is actually so much restricted. I thought it is kind of like a universal buff. If any of those character are going to be attack on that like a hack debuff implement the enemy, then I guess you could just totally get to all of those like benefits. I guess right now after reading this kind of a description, she's not even that of a universal anymore. Okay, let's move on to our last point, which is going to be the collab character will likely never rerun beyond her first banner. Grab her now or miss out most likely forever. what can I say, man? This is the very much of another important things when it comes to collab character. Collab character are not meant to be kind of like a meta breaker, but some of the games, as I already mentioned before, but some of the certain games does release some kind of like a good collab character where they are totally going to be power keep to their original character what the game has been producing. But in that case, most of the time collab character are always goes for the collection purpose. If you really love that character or don't even love that character, if you really want to value your account, especially in future, if you really want to sell that account, if you don't even have this like a collab character, then I guess you don't even have the signature move of a veteran player. Okay, that's all for this review, which is kind of like a generic, I guess. After just reading the whole of a pros and cons, I think she's not even that of a universal character that what I thought it before. Right now she's going to be kind of like a collection purpose. And let's move on to the gameplay and also team sections. She does not even have any of this like alternate option. As per the cons, they already mentioned that the hack debuff she is actually providing, which is going to be the main of a damage amplification and also so many debuffs that she's actually provide. If you really want to have that benefit to have on your DPS character, I guess you have to have another like a collab character on your team. Other than that, I guess you cannot even proc one of those like a hack debuffs, which is the main of her kit. Damn, man, I thought she's going to be the universal. Sorry to say that I totally told you on my previous video that she's going to be the must pull. Sorry to say that, I'm going to be correct myself, is that she's not even a must pull. Just totally skip her if you really want to value your account. For your sustain character, of course, there are so many very much limited sustain characters, which is the Morny, Shorekeeper and also the Varina. These three characters are kind of like in general, if you don't even have Morny or Shorekeeper, Varina is also going to be the good version. There is nothing to say anything more than that. So let's move on to our Rebecca. What kind of things they already provided for her review section. Of course, her review section is actually good. For her pros, she's actually have like a 5 points more than the Lucy, which is a limited character. Let's see how our pros. First one is going to be that doesn't need her signature weapon, which is a good thing, as well as the Lucy to perform and also easy to build echo wise and good energy regeneration. Damn. Okay, let's move on to the second point. Second point is going to be the has easy gameplay that benefits from a perfect dodge, so interaction isn't a big issue. So if you do have kind of like a good perfect dodge, I guess there is some kind of like a good of a buff that you are going to get, or some of the rewards are that you are going to get. Especially as I seen her from the gameplay, she's kind of like a gameplay from the closest character from their previous project, which is a PGR. I just totally forgot his name. This guy was kind of like a holding a big of a guitar types of gun and totally shooting all over the enemies, and in a final attack this guy also some kind of like a shooting a big laser beam. Sorry to say that I just totally forgot his name. Anyway, let's move on to the next point. Next point is going to be the has access to a multiple echo set that all work to her to a similar effect, making finding echoes for her really easy. Of course, if you do have some of those like a previous sub DPS or support characters farmed echo set, those set are going to be very much benefited for her, so you don't even have to worry about that. For the next one, which is going to be the fits into a several teams beyond her intended DPS, Lucy can act as slightly, as I already mentioned in my other videos, that when you are just going to deploy her liberation, which is her ultimate, you are going to get a 30% attack for the 30 second, and also some of the damage amplification are not even going to be gated towards your hack buff or hack debuffs. That's the main thing why she's actually free character, and also having the free character, she's even better than the Lucy, what Lucy should be done in a first place. Okay, for our next point, which is going to be is she is a free, and also another point I already missed, which is fits into a server team Xion's internet DPS Lucy, and also stronger and equivalent version of a Mortify, and already proven a strong forester in the meta. Oh, as you already know that Mortify is also going to be kind of like our day one of the like a best forester character that you could even ever have. This guy was also carried our Gian, and also carried our even to this day, which is August. Those teams Mortify just slaps, but after this free character, which is also a 5-star character, one of those like stats on all the things are going to be better than the Mortify. These things is also going to be a very good point if you really want to build her. Of course, if you just log in into this kind of period of a collaboration, you will have her and also build her over the Mortify is going to be very much a wise choice. So let's move to the cons. Cons is going to be the first point, very long rotation compared to the average secondary buffer, deals more damage than the most hybrids to compensate, but it still extends team rotation a good amount. I don't think so it is a cons, it is actually a pros, because if she deals a more damage than any other sub DPS character or hybrids characters, isn't she a good character. I guess they're trying to imply that she's actually rivalry between your DPS character, who is the tend to be doing the actual damage, but having the DPS character team, she's also doing the more damage than the DPS, which is kind of like a put a shamble to your DPS character. Let's move on to the second point, which is going to the good for a free character, but is still a free character. Don't expect her to shatter the meta. She's only brings a good alternative for heavy attackers and only the best slot for average DPS. For the heavy attackers, I guess in this current situation, there is some of the good characters who also kind of in a meta, but not even a meta fully, which is going to be the first one, Zani. In this tier list, they are totally providing her or placement her into a tier 2, but in my opinion, after in my already personal experience, she's at least a tier 0.5 character to this day. And another character who is also heavy attack reliant, which is going to be the Agosta. If you just somehow able to use her instead of the Mortifi on that Agosta team, and also if you don't even have or don't want to use kind of like a shorekeeper on the Zani's team, then I guess she's also going to be the best things, because heavy attack are very much needed for those two characters that I already mentioned. For our last one, which is going to be the ultimate voice line, gets very annoying after a few uses. That's the main another thing which I'm not going to talk about it anymore. For the gameplay and also teams, I guess she would even have more alternate option compared to our Lucy, which was we thought kind of like a hybrid DPS types of things. I already called it, man. Agosta is also going to be the best insert for your Rebecca if you don't even have the and also kind of like a don't even build the Mortifi as well, as she's also going to be the best insert for that. But in that position, which is the Phoebe team, I guess Phoebe is kind of like a weird spot. She doesn't even provide any of value for her as a solo carry, but when it comes to she's going to be provided, or you can say the setup into a Zani team, she is totally monster in that team. And other than that, I guess there's nothing to be discussed here. So I guess that's all for this like a tier list. All the character aside from these like a 2 collab character remain to their original position. If you really are a collection guy who really want to collection each or any of those like a limited or collab character what the games throws at you, I guess this is kind of like a good chance for you to pick any of those like character, but be aware that this kind of limited banner are not going to be shared to your actual limited banner what the Wuthering has been releasing. And another thing is that if you already have a Hyuki and also invested her some of this like a constellation or some of this like a signature weapon, I guess there is another next character which is a Glacier sub DPS going to be best insert for her. If you are really of a valuable guy who really want to evaluate your account and also have the valuable character on your teams, I guess you should be totally skip that character. Having the Rebecca of a free character is going to be the first thing that you should even require, because she is the most valuable character compared to the what the Lucy has should be, because she's a limited, she's not even a limited, she's also limited, but if you just somehow logging in between this like collab system, you will just totally have her without any kind of problem. So that's all for these things. If you like it, leave a like. If you do have any kind of like a questions about regarding their position into this current meta of this Predator.gg, you can totally let me know into the comment section, and see you on the next video. Peace.